It's Pink Friday 2021, and here's a message from one of our survivors.
Hello, I'm Robin Roberts, and I am happy to join the American Cancer Society in the fight against breast cancer. As a breast cancer survivor and proud Mississippi native, I'm honored to support Pink Friday, a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness. We all have a part to play in this fight, and by working together, one day we are determined to find a cure for breast cancer. Get your tickets now to support this wonderful event.
It's never too.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and for all those who's listening and watching it from around the world. And we are now live from the corner of Dalton and Lynch Street. It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's Invade Pregame with your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready, because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the Pregame.
It is October 9th. We are in Huntsville, Alabama. It is the pregame show, Bishop and Neely. It is a huge one on tap today as the Jackson State Tigers, 3-1, take on the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. Neely, I tell you what, these are the games that SWAC fans really, really, really appreciate.
Hey, these are the games and these are the breakfasts. We got Pastor E, the hip-hop preacher, right here behind us. We're going to grab him in a second. But Chuck, I finally get to sit down to do a show. I see how much you like it, man. I am sitting instead of standing.
It is fun, huh?
We renegotiated the contract last night in late hours, got the deal signed. Dana Beers is cheating on his diet behind me. I see him in the bacon dish. Now I shamed him. He walked off. We're live here at the Team Hotel. Everything is going good, Chuck. Ready for a big ball game today, 2 p.m. kickoff on the ESPN platforms.
Yes, indeed. And we start off today. We thank our sponsors, title sponsor for today, Hiawatha, Northington, PLLC, Manja, the restaurants of Bravo, Broad Street Bakery, and Sal and Lucas, and also Project Architect, Amber Slaughter, and of course, Chambers and Gaylor. Thank you all for your sponsorship of the pregame show. We can't do it without you. Hey, this is what it is. It is a huge game today. When you take a look at these two teams, you're talking about the number one offense in the Southwestern Athletic Conference going against the number one defense in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. It is going to be a huge one. And it looks like we already are getting some guests lined up. Who you have over there with you, buddy?
Man, we got the legendary hip-hop pastor. Man, you know him from YouTube, those motivational messages everybody loves. He just met with Coach Prime. So we're going to bring him on to the pregame show live. Chuck, take it away.
Yes, indeed.
Chuck, what up, Chuck?
How you doing? How you doing, sir? Man, welcome
I'm
in.
blessed, man. Thanks for having me, man. This
Yes,
is legendary. We're gonna look back at this 10, 20 years from now. And I was just telling Prime, man, I went to school here in Huntsville, Alabama, went to Oakwood University.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And I've never seen the buses rolling up. I've never seen the folks outside. I never heard the police coming up. You know what I'm saying? JSU and Coach Prime. It was a sight to see. Showed Coach the video. I literally took a video. I stood in the middle of it. And my son is here with me, of course, and I will be able to tell people 10, 20 years from now, when it is a tradition and it is common for our students to come to the HBCUs, I'll be able to say I was there in the beginning of it.
Yes, indeed. We talk about that all the time. We talk about the renaissance of of students looking at HBCUs again, especially our athletes looking at HBCUs again. And we are kind of at the dawning of something new.
Absolutely.
We talked about the buses rolling in yesterday, the crowd out front. And for us who kind of grew up on Jackson State football, it was a return to yesteryear to kind of see that again in terms of the fan excitement. So that was a huge. It
was phenomenal.
To take part in it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Talk a little bit about what your message might be to
You know, man, really taking advantage of an opportunity of a lifetime and a lifetime of the opportunity. You know, it's like, man, this is a game, but it ain't no game. Yeah. You know, what you do in college and what you do these 4 years as an athlete can really propel the rest of your life. You know, it take your whole life to another level, bro. So
Sure. Yes, indeed. Well, when you start talking about taking your life to another level, how important is it that young athletes, young people in general, hear that message?
You know, I think it's important, man, because you know, you are what you get exposed to. All of us, we are our exposure, you know, and so when we get the right information in, we get the right results out. You know, you get the wrong stuff in, you're gonna get the wrong stuff out. And so I think it's important for them to hear, and listen to me. I think it's important for them also to see it with Prime. Can you tell my guy I'm back here? He's up front. I think it's important for them to hear, but also see people like Prime, see people like myself who've achieved it. Yeah. So not only you hear the talk, but you see the walk. And I think when you see it, it's like, wow, man, if ET can do it, if Prime can do it, I can do it. You know, does that make sense?
Yes, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. You talked about your time in Oakwood, the HBCU experience for any of our fans who are curious about it. Talk a little bit about your experience at Oakwood and how it prepped you for life.
Well, you know, man, as you see, I'm rocking the HBCU, boy.
Yes, indeed.
And then I got my school OU right here. Man, you know the difference between, I went to Michigan State. I got a master's and a PhD at Michigan State. Love my Michigan State experience. But bro, when you're at school with 50,000 people, it's easy to get lost in the sauce and to become a number. You know, one of the things I love at the HBCU, man, it was 1,800 folks when I was there. You a priority. You know the president the president knows you. You know the vice president, you know, you eat with the president, you go to church with the president, you know, you eating with your professors, you know, you go to church with your professors, you see your professor at the grocery store. So the HBC experience, man, you are a priority. You know, you're not just a number, you know, you are a priority. Your professors love on you. In many ways, man, you become their sons and their daughters, you know, you become family. And, you know, it's not just for that semester that you're in school. And you know, man, if you go to a HBCU, you become a family. You know, you got people you went to college with, man. You know, y'all going on trips together. You're raising your kids together. The HBCU experience, man, it's an extended family, bro. It's unbelievable.
It's an extended family, something unbelievable. You talked about Coach Prime in terms of what he's able to bring in terms of exposure and here at Jackson State. And it is fun to be a part of the experience. And
absolutely, think, no questions asked.
Really enjoying it, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, I tell you what, it has been a phenomenal experience having you come here.
Likewise, thanks for having me on.
We very much appreciate it. And, you know, as we get into talking about this game today, this Jackson State versus Alabama A&M, it's a huge one here in the SWAC East.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
It's must-see TV. It's must-see TV.
Must-see TV.
Yes, sir. And we're grateful because of Prime that we're getting prime time at HBCUs. We're on TV now. You can hit the button and watch your favorite HBCU school do their thing, man. And that is a privilege and an honor. We are getting the prime time that we deserve, the television time we deserve. Our babies are getting a chance to get exposure. Colleges, other colleges are watching them. The pros are watching them. Parents are watching them. Churches are watching them. They're at the beauty salon watching. They're at the barbershop watching. You know, so this is a great time to be alive, man. Great time for HBCUs.
Not only do you get the 40, 50,000 in the stands, but you also get the 400, 500,000
That's right.
watching at home.
Watching on TV.
It's
Absolutely.
very important. Very important.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. He is the hip hop pastor. Appreciate you stopping by here on the pregame show. So much to get into here on the pregame show. We are here on the Black College Sports Network. And I tell you what, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with more of the pregame show. How you feeling, man?
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
If you're looking for quality seafood with friendly service, then the Fish Shack is the place for you. We're fast, fresh, and convenient, and ready to serve you today. You can order online and come in, or pick up your food curbside. We have outdoor seating as well. Need something to cool your taste buds? We have tasty daiquiris that you're sure to love. So come see us today at the Fish Shack in Barrow, where we have great seafood and good daiquiris.
And welcome back here to the pregame show. Bishop and Neely here from Huntsville, Alabama, live from the team hotel here at the Western. Huge kickoff today, 2:00 kickoff here at Alabama A&M University. Their homecoming. I tell you what, Neely, we have a formidable foe today, taking on this tough Alabama A&M dynamic offense featuring the Quill Blast, the receivers known as the Outlaws, and a formidable one running back in Gary Qualls. This should be a very, very tough contest for our Jackson State Tigers.
It is going to be a tough contest, Chuck. Excuse me as I get settled, because I just realized I was standing again, and Chuck always gets to sit, so I'm going to sit. I've moved to the front part of the lobby. We were back in the team meeting room where the breakfast was taking place. Chuck, you're exactly right. It's going to be a great test for the JSU Tigers. We got the #1 defense in the SWAC going up against the #1 offense in the SWAC. Something's going to have to give. Something's going to have to bend. Something's going to possibly break in this game. So we're going to see how it shakes out. I believe defense travels. I believe defense is not going to have that ring rush from the bye week, if you will. Alabama A&M's coming off a tough loss. You know, got a whipping over there in Grambling. As Coach Maynard said on his interview, you know, Grambling got every SWAC award this past week off of their game against A&M. And we know our defense is much tougher than Grambling. So looking forward to it, Chuck. Again, it's a 2 p.m. kickoff on ESPN platforms. We're here live at the team hotel. We'll be heading over with the team to the stadium around noon for that 2 p.m. kickoff. But this is going to be a statement game, Charles. You like how I called you Charles then? That's when you know it's getting serious. Yeah, you got to call you Charles when it's about to get serious. Charles, listen to me. It is now October. We have a 4-game SWAC East stretch, and it starts with Alabama A&M here today in Huntsville.
Starts with Alabama A&M today here in Huntsville. You know, we had an opportunity as the pregame show to sit down and talk with Mo Hart, who covers the Alabama A&M Bulldogs, and he gives us an overview of today's opponent. Welcome into the pregame show, a huge one this upcoming weekend, Jackson State and Alabama A&M. And of course, we have none other than Mo Carter. He is the sports director for WZDX. Fox 54 covers all things Alabama A&M and anything moving up there in North Alabama. Mo, welcome into the pregame show.
Hey, Charles, thanks for having me back, man. It's been a while for me to actually be on the pregame show. We crossed paths many other times with our good buddy, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill. But yeah, definitely good to cross paths once again, especially for probably the HBCU football game of the year that's not for a quote-unquote championship.
Yeah, indeed, this will be a huge one this upcoming weekend when we take a look at it. Alabama A&M, they are the #1 offense in the SWAC. Jackson State coming into this game, they are the #1 defense. A classic 1 versus 1 here, offense and defense. Talk to us a little bit about this Alabama A&M football team.
Well, Alabama A&M, of course, was ranked the #1 team in HBCU sports coming into the season. Had some early season matchups that literally came down to the wire. They had a comeback victory against South Carolina State. They, got the best of Bethune-Cookman down there in the rain on a Thursday night, and then had control of a game against Tuskegee for a while. And then Tuskegee decided to, come back and show their worth and show that why they're one of the top D2 programs still in the nation. But on this past Saturday, the luck ran out. Basically, Alabama A&M played by far one of their worst games against Grambling State. 6 turnovers overall, and Grambling capitalized on that. Every single turnover that turned into scoring plays, whether it was there wasn't any pick sixes, but there was a fumble return for a touchdown, and then Grambling basically had the ball on the Alabama A&M side of the field majority of the times. Crazy thing, though, is that even with all the turnovers, Alabama A&M had a turnover deep inside of Grambling territory, had 2 minutes ago and had a chance to win the game just to have another interception take place. And unfortunately, that was the camel that was the straw that broke the camel's back in Saturday's loss. So definitely was a loss that hurt. Talked to Coach Maynor on Sunday. He explained that at the end of the day, they didn't coach well. Some of the players seemed to be a little out of focus, looking forward to another game. And of course, you and I, we've been around the SWAC. We know that crazy things happen down in the hole at Grambling State, and that was another example of it on Saturday. So now, for the most part, Alabama A&M, they've got their backs against the wall. They want to repeat as the SWAC East Division champs and represent the East Division in the SWAC championship. They have a very, very small margin of error, and they can't afford to have another loss right now. And that's why a win on Saturday against this tough Jackson State team will go a long way.
As you said, always a tough place to play. Grambling, Louisiana, exit 81. The Bulldogs kind of stubbed their toe a little bit last week, but when we talk about this Alabama A&M team, of course, it starts with Aquil Glass and the receivers. I tell you what, they are some of the toughest receivers in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. But just kind of give us an overview of this offensive juggernaut that Jackson State fans will see.
Well, of course, everybody knows about Aquil Glass. Even Jackson State fans know about Aquil Glass. It wasn't that long that Aquil Glass was, racking up huge numbers on national television back in the spring against Jackson State's former defense. And I say that because I know a lot of guys from the spring aren't on that roster now for the fall. But of course, it all starts with Aquil Glass, who still by far is the top quarterback prospect in all of FCS. He's got a lot of weapons around him as well. On the outside, he's got All-American Abdul Fattah Ibrahim, and on the other side, he's got big play Xavion Moore. On the inside, you've got the guy that probably is a matchup nightmare for anyone, and that is D. Anderson, 6'5" wide receiver, 215 pounds, transfer from LSU. And look at it like this. It's like lining up Terrell Owens in the slot and then telling a safety or linebacker, you need to cover this guy. And he has literally come on huge in the first couple of weeks for Alabama A&M. He had 3 touchdowns against Grambling. He had 3 touchdowns against Tuskegee. And how did he get those touchdowns? Well, it was a matchup nightmare for the opposition. So I'm not saying that Coach Deion Sanders and the staff won't find a way to get this guy covered, but for sure they're definitely looking into that. Also, too, Brian Jenkins Jr. usually is at the other slot or is a Adu Hilaire, depending on the sets and whatnot. But one thing about Glass, he knows how to find his guys, and nobody on this offense is selfish. They know that when they get the ball, it's time to make a play. And if they don't get the ball, still find a way to help make the play happen just in general. Everybody talks about the passing or whatever, but can't forget about the rushing attack. Gary Quarles, he's one of the top rushers within the Southwestern Athletic Conference. He has come on huge week in and week out for this rushing attack. I'm pretty sure he's probably top 3 in rushing within the SWAC. They haven't updated everything yet, so I can't tell you that exactly as of yet. May have to send a text over to Andrew Roberts to be like, come on, man, let's get this up in general. But this just goes to show you, Gary Quarles is a guy that kind of makes his offense go from the rushing standpoint. He's not a big guy, kind of short or whatever, but once he gets past the line, sometimes he's 3-4 yards down the field before he gets a hand on him just because he's just that quick. And he's trying to follow those big blockers up front. I can say from what I saw on Saturday, they got away from rushing offensively, and I think that kind of played a major role into what ended up happening in Alabama A&M's loss. I mean, at the end of the day, Charles, Quill Glass should not be throwing 60 passes. He should not.
62 passes, 62 passes in that last game versus Grambling. He definitely was putting it up early and often, but I think when you have a quarterback like a Quill Glass, you trust, that he can get the job done. From a defensive standpoint, Trinell Troutman, he leads the SWAC in interceptions. Talk a little bit about this Bulldog defense.
Yeah, Trinell Troutman definitely leads the SWAC in interceptions. He's a Louisville transfer. He's a guy that came on, during the spring. Didn't really play in the spring, just in general, because he was trying to learn the system and whatnot. But he was supposed to be part of this defense that was supposed to be revamped. And I admit to you, the defense, they literally have played by this motto: bend but don't break. And they've come up with some big plays overall. When you look at the numbers and the stats, no, they're not sexy. They're not sexy at all. But when they needed to make plays, they have. Troutman has been a guy that has made those plays. Game-winning interceptions against South Carolina State, game-winning interception against Bethune-Cookman on drives that were potential game winners for the opposition. And then he made a bunch of tackles against Tuskegee as well. We're talking about a guy playing DB. The Holloway twins, there are 2 other guys that now for a couple of years have been leaders on this Alabama A&M defense. Both guys have been all conference at one point in time. I mean, they kind of play hybrid positions from the linebackers to DB spots. You have to kind of just look and see where these guys line up to know exactly what they've got going on just in general. But here's the other thing too, Charles. I really, really think this Alabama A&M defense has the potential to do a lot of good things. They just need to gel quickly. And I admit they're kind of running out of time for my sense or whatever, but who knows, things may change. But I mean, if you can get more guys, especially the guys up front like Selmore Russell and Big Irby, as they call him, Jamal Irby is his first name. Mm-hmm. If they can get guys to get more pressure up front, then this defense is definitely going to be one of the better defenses in the SWAC. I feel like they still haven't been able to meet the standard that Coach Maynard wants them to do, and also with Coach Eastman as defensive coordinator. Now, when they need to make big plays, they have. Saturday's game against Grambling, that wasn't on them. When the offense turns the ball over and they're already in plus territory, it's hard to stop a team from scoring in multiple cases. So I'm pretty sure they're going to try their best to clean some things up, especially when they take on, Shedeur Sanders and this Jackson State offense that has proved that they can move the ball. I wouldn't be surprised they try to throw some pressure field type plays and blitzes and stunts at him early on just to kind of shake and rattle him just a little bit or whatever. But I mean, that's just me in general. I mean, that's what I think. But I also do know this. They know the importance of what's happening on Saturday when Jackson State comes to town. So whatever they did mistake-wise in these last couple of games, they need to get it cleaned up because it's the next game, which means it's the most important game on the calendar.
Yes, indeed. Should be an electric atmosphere up there in Huntsville. You're talking about a homecoming festivities, homecoming crowd. Give us your 3 keys for Alabama A&M to get this victory against Jackson State.
All right, first key, protect the football. Last week, 6 turnovers against Grambling State. 7 if you want to count the sky onside kick or whatever that they turned that Grambling State got the ball on that as well. So You have to protect the football. You protect the football, you change the trajectory of the game. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, Alabama A&M gave the football game away last week to Grambling, and they took advantage of it. So they have to protect the football. Secondly, Glass has to be efficient. He cannot throw interceptions. He cannot throw passes in tight windows to where it's like the percentage for his guys to catch it is very, very low. He has to go back to throwing those passes where either his guy is going to make the catch or it's going to be an incomplete pass. There should be no middleman as far as the opposition. And lastly, offensively, Alabama A&M has to find a way to reestablish the rushing attack. Last week, I felt like they got away from the rushing attack when they took on Grambling State. Gary Quarles did get nicked up a little bit somewhere in the second quarter, and they got real pass happy. I really do think that if they don't get away from that, then they keep the offense a little balanced. And I mean, yeah, I know balance is more like 300 passing yards and 100 rushing yards, but that's enough, to make some things happen and find success offensively for Alabama A&M. So yeah, those are definitely 3 keys to success. And I'll add a bonus one. From the defensive side, get pressure on Jackson State. That is going to be a main thing. When this Alabama A&M defense has got pressure on opposing quarterbacks, good things have happened. We've seen it happen multiple times. They just need to do it enough from there, because who knows? This may turn into a situation where you have a shootout. We just do not know what's going to happen come Saturday, but that possibility is definitely there, especially with 2 of the 3 top passers within the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Yes, indeed. It should be a fun one from the campus of the Alabama A&M University. He is Mo Carter. He is the sports director for WZDX. Man, thank you for always giving us some insight here on the pregame show with Bishop and Neely. We'll be right back after these messages. And welcome back here to the pregame show, Bishop and Neely, Jackson State, Alabama A&M. We are live from Team Hotel here in Huntsville, Alabama. Hey, Neely, man, I tell you what, what's going on over your way, man?
Man, we got Coach Ricard is going to come up next. Special teams coach. We're here live at the Team Hotel in the lobby. Chuck, you've had the hip hop pastor, E on behind you, and there's somebody behind. That is ESPN's Tiffany Green behind me. Let me see, can I block out? Hey, you never know who's going to pull up on the pregame show.
Yes, indeed.
Y'all do an excellent job of the coverage. We love your live show.
Hey, Tim.
He says hello.
Yes,
Jay Walker walked up and said, "Are we ready for the professionals to take over?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Tiffany." Yeah, because she's the professional, not you.
Neely and Chuck, well covered.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hey, and good luck with the coverage tonight, and be sure to skew your comments toward Jackson State University. We know we can count on you. There you go. I love.
We know it's a big game when Jay and Tiff are on the call. So
no doubt, it's always a big game when they're in town for the game. But Chuck, we're gonna bring up our special teams coach. Let you visit with him for a second, because we know how vital that's going to be for this afternoon's game, setting the tone, whether we're receiving that ball or kicking it off to start the game, setting that tone on special teams.
Yes, indeed. Coach Alan Ricard, welcome back into the pregame show, sir.
Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing well. We talked a little bit last night about the theme all coming off of that bye week, being, focused, locked in and whatnot. But talk about it from a special team standpoint in terms of the work you guys and the preparation you guys have been putting in, getting prepared for this Alabama A&M team.
Yes, we, like you said, we're coming off a bye week, so getting an extra week to kind of get things implemented and get ready and get prepared. And the guys, took on the bye week great. They had a great week during the bye week. We had a great week this past week, and guys locked in, focused, detailed, and I think they're ready to have an impact on the game, which we have to have today.
It is the third phase of the game, special teams, making sure that everybody is locked in and focused. When I go back and kind of take a look during the course of the season, I go back to the Bethune-Cookman game against Alabama A&M. They were able to break one long. Are there some things that you have seen with regards to this Alabama A&M special teams?
Yes, I mean, we looked at we studied film from some of their games, like you say, against Bethune. Bethune had some good returns on them, did some great things, got physical with them. South Carolina State, same thing. But we know that any team we play, we're going to get their best. They're going to be coming in pumped up and ready to take on Coach Prime's team. So we understand that the what you see on film against other teams, you're going to see it taken up a notch against us just because of who we are here at Jackson State. So we got to bring our A game. And just like every week, we try to have an impact on the game. So in order to have that, we got to have impact players. We got to have guys step up and do their job at a high level.
No doubt about it. You have one of the most dynamic return men in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, Warren Newman. Talk about his impact on the special teams.
Well, I mean, he's just so electric. I mean, with the ball in his hands, it's always, could go for a touchdown. He has great vision, and he sets up his blocks well. So all we got to do is just give him a little room. And I'm always emphasizing to guys to just, go, block into the whistle blows. Give him, it's just like a offensive play for us when we go kickoff return and punt return. That's an offensive play for us. And we want to set our offense up in good field position, if not get the house call. And Warren is electrifying. He's a weapon back there for us. So anytime we get a punt return, we want to make sure that we're executing our blocks to the highest level.
Yes, indeed. We've had an opportunity. We've almost broken a couple kickoff returns, but you do so much great work in terms of setting up special teams, especially with regards to the blocking and what guys should see and where they should be. But just talk about that part of the game, the kickoff part of the game, in terms of just setting things up, in terms of trying to break one.
We've been doing some good things. And like I tell guys, it can be just one guy that doesn't do his job right, and that'll mess up the whole return. So I'm emphasizing to all 11 guys, get on the same page and doing your job. And if we do our job, we've seen that not only we can get it to midfield, we can get a house call if everybody do their job and execute their job responsibility to the highest level. And that's what we're emphasizing every week. And especially this week, we're going to need it. And so I'm looking forward to guys going out there, understanding their assignment and blocking to the whistle blows and executing their assignment to the highest level.
Coach, we always appreciate you stopping by the pregame show. The offense, defense, and the third phase special teams, so vital to set up great field position for the offense or the defense. And you talk about punt returns, kick returns, and that other phase, the kicking game as well. Got to get that up and rolling as well.
Absolutely. And I appreciate coming on with you guys and any chance I get. So you guys do a great job. Keep it up and anytime.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Coach.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Coach Alan Ricard, he is the special teams coach for our Jackson State Tigers. They have Warren Newman. He has done such a tremendous job in terms of punt returns. He has broken a couple of them thus far on the season. But you talk about almost really breaking some on the kickoff as well. These guys really take that part of the game very, very seriously, Neely.
They do, Chuck. You heard it from there, man. We're looking for a house call today. We are one block away, one assignment away, one cut away from a house call. We know we got the guys back there can do it. Isaiah Bolden, transfer from Florida State, is capable of it. Warren Newman, who is a veteran on this Jackson State roster, is capable of doing it. DeJohn Warren Nugget is capable of doing it. Pick your poison when those three are back there. Coach Ricard has them coached up, and he coaches with intensity. Y'all heard his voice is a little raspy.
Yeah, a little raspy.
Because he does a lot of coaching, man. He does a lot of coaching, vocal coaching. So I'm looking forward to Chuck watching some of what we saw this past week in practice. And again, protecting that competitive integrity, some things we don't show on the program or discuss too far in advance, because we know we got fans from other schools that watch the show as well. So don't want to put too much out there.
Other schools, right?
But there are some nuances to the special teams game today that if the opportunity avails itself, you're going to see some things. Coach Prime is still here, Chuck, down in the lobby. He and some other coaches out there in the sunshine, having a little powwow around the campfire, if you will. Coach Prime, Coach T.C. Taylor, some other coaches have joined him out there. So if he happens by you or me, we'll try to grab him. But we're here at the Team Hotel, the Westin in Huntsville, Alabama, 2 p.m. kickoff on the ESPN platform. Jay Walker's here, Chuck's best friend. So all of y'all that don't like Jay Walker and the way he commentates the game, y'all be sure to flood Chuck's inbox with your suggestions and feedback on Jay Walker. Tiffany Green is here as well. I'm more on the Tiffany Green ally side. Chuck is with Jay Walker, so I love pushing Chuck under that Jay Walker bus. Speaking of buses, Chuck. Speaking of buses, Chuck. You're around the swag segment, man. Folks love it. Folks love it. I know we're going to, I'm not teasing it up right now, but I know we're going to get to that. So if y'all want to hear some stuff about all these games taking place today, some other folks around the swag are having homecoming as well. I think down there at Norman Community College, formerly known as Opt Out U, they have their homecoming today. I upgraded with Chuck. They actually playing games now, so they moved up from Opt Out U to LCC. Lorman Community College is celebrating their homecoming down under the shade trees, and I know we're going to talk about those games and some others later in this program. But for now, we're focusing on Jackson State, #1 defense, taking on Alabama A&M here in Huntsville, #1 offense here at the Team Hotel. Bringing it to you live and direct, the pregame show.
Neely, and I'm going to go back to special teams real quick. You touched on 3 dynamic performers when you're talking about John Nugget Warren. You mentioned Isaiah Bolden and Warren Newman. All of them have big play ability, and they're chomping at the bit for a game like today.
They are. I saw Coach Marcus and the O-line coach. If I get his attention,
sure.
It's when you're in these live environments, but we're not going to dive off of special teams just yet.
I see Coach Marcus back there.
Yeah. Want to talk O-line? Yeah. No, we never throw darts. No, not at all.
No, I can tell you.
Coach, welcome to the pregame show.
Yeah, awesome. Spice Cube. What's up? Coming for that?
Yeah, right there. Chuck right there. You see him?
Yeah, I see him. Coach Marcus, how you doing?
Hey, what's up? How we doing?
Welcome into the pregame show again, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, and we've talked all throughout the program last night and today. You guys have been preaching focus, lock in. Talk about how it was for your offensive line coming off that bye week.
Well, I'll tell you, we really had a great practice here a couple of days ago, real physical practice that we needed. Obviously, we have concerns in our run game, the physicality of it when we call a run. And we really focused on that last week during the off week. You got to just get better. The guys are getting better. Backs are getting better. I mean, it's just something that we got to continue to get better at, and we got to be able to run this football, plus protections, just shoring up some things. But, hey, it's just a process. We just keep going. We just got to get this next W.
Sure thing. And when you talk about the process, especially in regards to the physicality of the offensive line, where we are within the season, are those things that you can still bring out in terms of trying to get this offensive line up?
Oh, for sure. And it's how you practice. It's always about how you practice. What you do in practice is what you're going to do in the game. And we certainly this week against our defense had some really good physical days. And we want to bring that physicality out in the game. What you do in practice, what you do in the game. So we'll see.
Let me ask this question in regards to our offensive line. One thing you hear about with offensive lines quite a bit is continuity. Do you feel like you have a group of guys that you're ready to go?
Right. That's a great question. You don't ever see a lot of wholesale changes in offensive line during the course of a game. You see your 5 guys, your core guys, and the reason for that is they got to get the flow of the game. They got to feel what the defense is doing to them. They got to anticipate slants and stunts, a twist, a blitz, and they see it and they see it and they see it, and then they pick it up. They can get better in the game. If you wholesaled it, like D-lines have to do, you just wouldn't get that continuity. Now, with that being said, we've got some great guards and tackles that could come in and play. You have to get those guys ready. But those 5 core guys, that's what's the most important thing. So right now I feel good about our 5 starters and where we're going today, and got to go play the game.
Yes, indeed. You got to go play the game. And for a lot of our diehard Jackson State fans who know the DNA, the blood and guts of the Jackson State football is the running game. It is important to get that running game up and going. And you mentioned physicality. It is going to be the name of the game today.
No question. You got to have that element because it just takes it off your passing game. When you can't run it, then it's just a feeding frenzy for the defense and what they present to you, all the different stunts and twists. And that's hard. And we told them this week, I said, if we can run the ball, the passing game is going to be easier for you.
Sure,
So
sure.
they work
Yes, indeed.
hand in hand.
Yes, indeed. Well, Coach Markson, we always appreciate you stopping by the pregame show and fielding questions for us. And it's the things that our fan base wants to hear, especially in regards to the offensive line.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay.
Coach Mark Markson, he is the offensive line coach for Jackson State Tigers. He preached and talked about the offensive line has to be more physical today. You got to win. You got to win those battles up front. This is Neely. We talk about it all the time. The blood and guts of the Jackson State DNA is running the football. Whether you're in the 1970s and you're talking about the Peyton brothers, Ricky Patton, Ricky Young, whether you get to the 80s.
I know you're gonna mention zip code stamps. You're gonna go zip code stamps.
Of course, I wore number 33 because of zip code stamps. So
yeah, but it all starts with having somebody to block and open up those gaps in those lanes and push that offensive line, push that defensive line off the line of scrimmage versus having backs getting that initial contact in the backfield or at the line of scrimmage. So this offensive line has been under scrutiny this year, this season, as it relates to run game. As it relates to the run game, we have a quarterback who's sitting on 72% of his passes. And although we gave up some sacks and had some pressures against Delta State, things seem to be above average, even if not to Coach Prime's standard or Coach Marcus' standard for the pass protection. When you look at the global net of what's happening with the passing game, but the run game has just been dismal. It has been non-existent. It has made us one-dimensional. And so Coach Prime told me when we sat down this week, he said, look, this is the week. This is the week where the offensive line has got to show what they got. They've got to prove what they got, or we got to look at bringing some more dogs in. It's that simple. It ain't nothing complex. It's like we have to upgrade that unit if that unit doesn't start performing. So I'm not going to call it pressure, but I am going to say there's going to be some scrutiny there today to see how this run game develops behind this offensive line.
Yeah, and the run game is so important to, like you said, taking pressure off of the passing game, taking pressure off the door. And we've seen it. And football is pretty simple, pretty elementary. You get that run game up and going, then guess what happens? Play action happens, and you start getting those shots deep. So, very much looking forward to what this run game is actually able to do today. And I'll tell you what, when you take a look at the Alabama A&M defense, they are ranked midways in regards to stopping the rush, but they are not one of the, premier, if you will, defenses in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. So it will be the onus on Jackson State's offense to get up and rolling today.
And speaking of offense, we got Josh Lanier. Lotto is going to come on next, so I'm going to get ready to turn it over to him, Chuck. I know we've gone way off script because we are in this live environment. We got to grab people as they come, so we're going to bring over Josh Lanier, Lotto, and talk about this passing game and what they're looking forward to doing today.
Sure thing. Josh Lanier, Lotto, welcome back to the pregame show. My man, I tell you what, those wide receivers, man, they put their shades on, they come in a certain manner. You guys are full of swagger, man. Talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, man. Like to play this position right here, you gotta have swag. You gotta have that confidence in yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because it take a lot of the confidence to be able to go out there and do what we do. So you know what I'm saying? It's just a part of the attire. You look good, you feel good, and play good. That's what we're here to do, to play good.
There you go. You guys. Talk about where this is game 4, if you will, game 5, if you will, the continuity that you kind of built and the trust that you built up with your quarterback, you were saying.
Oh yeah, since we obviously we all kind of came in a little bit late, so it took us a little minute to be able to just gel together as one. But I feel like in the past couple of weeks, especially during the bye week, we got a chance to really be able to get with him and actually like do some extra stuff after practice, you know what I'm saying, after hours, to be able to just get our continuity together, come together as a team. And I feel like we're finally reaching where we want to be. We're not all the way there yet, but we're close. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good today.
One of the things I always notice with you guys in practice, not only do you catch the ball, but you take off and you get to the end zone as quick as you can. Talk a little bit about just getting those run after catches, the rack yards, if you will, how important it is not just to be a receiver, but to turn it to a running back after you get the ball in your hand.
Oh, yeah, you know what I mean? Obviously, we all playing college football now, but the ultimate goal is to get to the National Football League, and they don't need just somebody who can catch the ball. We know that they want somebody who can catch the ball and then do something with it after. So just doing that in practice every time after a rep, every time we catch a ball, just getting to the end zone, it kind of just makes it muscle memory. So we're able to do it in the game, natural instinct.
You had a huge game, Memphis. Do you see some things on film from this Alabama A&M defense where our Jackson State offense can exploit it today?
Oh yeah, you know, they got a good team. They play a lot of 3 week. They play a lot of coverage that allow us to be able to make some plays. You know what I'm saying? They giving us room, so we just got to take advantage of the room that they're giving us, and you know what I'm saying, attack. That's all. It's really about what we do. It's not so much about what they do. It's about what we do and how we execute today.
Yes, indeed. Hey, Josh, always appreciate you stopping by the pregame show, giving us tremendous insight from the player's perspective, and especially from their wide receiver.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Yes, indeed. He is Josh Lanier. They call him Lato. He is number one in your program, number one in your heart. But I tell you what, he brings it every day. One of the tremendous receivers that Shedeur has access to. You talk about guys that really get it done, and we're looking to see if this offense can really get on track today.
You know, like you normally call them, a bevy of receivers. Shedeur Sanders has a bevy of receivers, and Josh Lanier, Lotto being one of those bevy of receivers. And, you know, and to some degree, he's at home, you know, came from Alabama to us. So, you know, we're down Shane Hooks today, still recovering from that Delta State tweak. Have Shane back in a couple of weeks. So there's going to be an opportunity to see more from a Keith Corbin, to see more from a Josh Lanier, from Lotto, from Christian Allen, you name it. There's going to be a lot of participants in this offense today, all starting with going back to the conversation we had. Can't forget about Rucker, a la Brown. It's a bevy, as you call it, Chuck. But it all starts with the offensive line giving that 1.5 to 2.5 seconds of protection is all it takes for Shedeur Sanders to get that ball in his hand, and for these receivers to get into that route and dig out of it. Ball is in there, first down, move the chains.
No doubt about it. Well, I tell you what, we'll get into a lot of the action around the SWAC as we come back from these commercials here on the pregame show, especially in Neely, Black College Sports Network.
Well, I got it. I got it.
Of course I got it.
I got it right after work.
That's right. I got the COVID-19 vaccine.
Because self-care. I got it because I wanted to get back to my normal.
I was one of the first ones that got it. And now I'm helping others get theirs.
So let's get it together. Sign up and get your vaccine today, and let's stop COVID in its tracks. Visit IGotItMS.com.
Hey y'all, Jeff Good here, Broad Street Baking Company, Jackson State University's favorite bakery, right here in the heart of Jackson, I-55 Northside Drive in Banner Hall. Why are we the JSU Tigers' favorite bakery?
Well, I got it.
I got it.
You already know. I got the COVID-19 vaccine. I got it because you can only do prom once.
I got it because my team got big buzz this year.
I got it because my white needs all the help he can get.
I got it because this school year is going to be awesome. I got it because I missed my friends.
Sign up to get your vaccine today. Find out how at IGotItMS.com.
And welcome back to the pregame show here on the Black College Sports Network. Bishop and Neely live from Huntsville, Alabama. I have to be careful not to say Huntsville, Texas, because it's in Huntsville, Texas. But Huntsville, Alabama, Alabama A&M, homecoming, Jackson State. It is the takeover in full effect. I'll tell you what, Neely, we were all over the place last night at the team hotel. It is going to be a lively, festive atmosphere, but there's a lot of lively, festive atmosphere going on today around the SWAC. You take a look, there are games, Grambling, Alcorn, UAPB, Bama State. You got Valley of Bethune-Cookman. You got Texas Southern, and Southern, they will be in Arlington today. FAMU, they're hosting the South Carolina State Bulldogs, and of course, the game today here with Jackson State and Alabama A&M. But we'll get into it. Let's go around the SWAC, and let's take a look at these matchups today. Well, it is week 6, another exciting week of action as we get ready to go around the SWAC here on the pregame show. Mississippi, it is a homecoming kickoff for the Alcorn State Braves as the Grambling State Tigers, they invade the reservation. Grambling comes in 2-3, 1-1 in conference play. Alcorn 2-2 thus far on the season, 1-0 in conference play. Last week, it was the coming out party for freshman quarterback Noah Bowden for the Tigers. He went 16 of 34 for 191 yards and 3 touchdowns. SWAC Offensive Player of the Week. Not only was it the Grambling State offense, but the Grambling defense. They also garnered Player of the Week awards as it was Cameron Richardson. He had a scoop and a score for a touchdown. Also had an interception in the upset win over Alabama A&M as Grambling got the win last week, 37-28. When we take a look at the Alcorn State Braves, they are led by quarterback Felix Harper, 247 yards per game through the air. Nico Duffy, he's the number 3 rusher in the SWAC. And LaCharles Pringle, wide receiver. He averages 15.7 yards per catch for the Braves. It is a 2 o'clock homecoming kickoff for Alcorn. That game can be seen on ESPN3. Let's drive over to Montgomery, Alabama, as it is the UAPB Golden Lions, 1-3, 0-2 in conference play, taking on the Alabama State Hornets, 2-2. 0-1 in conference play. Both teams coming off disappointing losses last week as both teams are trying to bounce back. UAPB, they lost to Prairie View 27-17. And of course, Bama State, they were shut out by the Rattlers 28-0 last week in Tallahassee. UAPB, they are led by the receiving threat, Josh Wilkes. He paces the UAPB offense thus far in the season, 14 catches, 257 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's good for 4th in the conference. Jalen Thigpen also leads the Golden Lions on the defensive side of the ball. He averages 8 tackles per game. Bama State still looking to get on track from an offensive standpoint. They are led by wide receiver Jeremiah Hickson, 19 catches, 238 yards, and a touchdown thus far on the season. It is a 2 o'clock kickoff from Montgomery. That game can be seen on Bounce TV. Let's drive down to Daytona, Florida, and this is the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils, 1-3, 0-1 in conference play, taking on the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, who are still looking for their first win. They are 0-5, 0-2 in conference play. Valley coming off of that huge victory over MEAC foe North Carolina Central, as they are led by Jelani Eason, who went 20 of 27 last week for 175 yards. Big play receiver Ja'Cory Rankin, he had 7 catches for 80 yards, had the huge catch to set up the game-winning touchdown for the Valley Delta Devils last week. And Caleb Johnson, he rushed for 71 yards in that huge W over North Carolina Central. When we take a look at Bethune-Cookman, they're trying to notch their first victory. They are led on the ground by Keyshawn Bird. He averages 6.1 yards per carry. Defensively, they are led by Takevin Thomas, 8 tackles per game. And Ontario Johnson, he averages 7 tackles per game. That is a 3 o'clock kickoff from Daytona. That game will be presented on Bethune-Cookman's own Cat Eye Network. Let's drive all the way back over to Texas. It is the Arlington Football Showdown from Globe Life Park. It is the Texas Southern Tigers, 0-3, 0-1 thus far in conference play, taking on the Southern Jaguars, who are 2-2, 1-0 in conference play. Of course, Texas Southern had that victory last week, but that victory does not count in the standings, so they are still 0-3 thus far on the season. But when we take a look at this game, let's start off with the Southern Jaguars. Glennon Bubba McDowell, he has solidified his taking over the reins of the quarterback position for the Southern Jaguars. On the ground, Southern, they are led by the 3-headed monster, Devon Ben, Craig Nelson, and Kobe Dillon, who are 6th, 7th, and 8th, respectively, in the conference, all averaging over 50 yards per game. We take a look at the Texas Southern Tigers. Andrew Body, the freshman, he has solidified his hold on the reins of the quarterback position at Texas Southern. He has a favorite target in Keelan Davis, who is 3rd in the conference, averaging 19.1 yards per catch. That is going to be a 4 o'clock kickoff from Arlington, Texas. Let's go from Texas. Let's go all the way over to Florida, Tallahassee, Florida, Bragg Memorial Stadium, as it is the South Carolina State Bulldogs coming off of an impressive victory over the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. They are led by quarterback Corey Fields, 314 yards passing last week against Bethune-Cookman. FAMU, of course, the number 2 defense in the SWAC, surrendering only 13 points per game. They are led defensively by Isaiah Land. He leads FAMU with 5 sacks thus far on the season. Offensively, FAMU is led by the dangerous wide receiver Xavier Smith, who leads the conference in receptions. He has 32 receptions thus far on the season. That is a 5 o'clock kickoff from Bragg Memorial Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida. And of course, we finish up with the big one. It is the clash of the Titans. Your Jackson State Tigers, 3-1 thus far on the season, 1-0 in conference play, taking on the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. They are 3-1 on the season, 1-1 in conference play. The number 1 offense versus the number 2 defense. Let's start off taking a look at the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. They are led by Aquill Glass. Alabama A&M averaging 36.3 points per game. Aquill Glass, 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's averaging 377 yards per game through the air. You take a look at his receiving core, the Outlaws, they call themselves. They are led by Abdul Fattah Ibrahim, Adu Hilaire, and D. Anderson, who leads the conference with 7 touchdown catches. He's a big 6'6" target for Aquill Glass. On the ground, they are led by Gary Qualls, who leads the SWAC in rushing. He is averaging 131.3 yards per game in SWAC play. Your Jackson State Tigers, the number 1 defense in the SWAC, they are ranked 8th nationally. They are surrendering only 12.8 points per game, 246 yards per game. The defense is led by sackmaster James Houston, 6.5 sacks. That's good for number 1 in the nation. Aubrey Miller, linebacker Aubrey Miller, he's averaging 11.7 tackles per game. On the offensive side of the ball, Shador Sanders, he is ranked 4th nationally in completion percentage. He is completing 71% of his passes, 101 of 141 thus far on the season, 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Favorite target, Warren Newman, 30 receptions thus far on the season, 203 yards. He's averaging 7 catches per game. It is a 2 o'clock homecoming kickoff from Huntsville, Alabama. This game can be seen on ESPN3, and that is Around the SWAC Week 6 here on the Pregame Show. And welcome back here to the Pregame Show. We went around the SWAC, just some great action today around the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Hey, I started off with that Grambling Alcorn game. You remember how those back in the day, Grambling Alcorn.
Grambling who?
The Grambling.
Oh, LCC. I have upgraded them to all the listeners out there. Y'all remember all spring I called them Opt-Out U. Well, now they're officially back to being LCC, Lorman Community College, and it's their homecoming today. And we wish them a well because we celebrate homecomings.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do all day. When you take a look at it, Grambling Alcorn, they used to kick off the season in the Southwestern Athletic Conference back in yesteryear. So that was always fun checking out those games. And that's always a spirited rivalry with Grambling Alcorn.
And Chuck, as we focus on it around the SWAC part and starting with that Grambling Alcorn there, both places are tough places to play.
Yes, the whole exit 81, Grambling.
Going down the stretch to Jack Spinks. I mean, this is like they are tough places to play. Hats off to those environments. Hats off to those fans who get it and make it a tough place to play. And we're going into a belly of a beast today, if you will, being on the road for a SWAC East opponent for their homecoming. They're out doing their homecoming parade right now on campus. And, I know we got fans over there setting up our tailgates and that kind of thing. But this is what HBCU football, SWAC football is all about. Those rivalries, those must-win games, those game day atmospheres. But this one today, Chuck, this one is really, and I'm not saying this because we're the pregame show. It just is what it is. Everybody's eyes have been on Jackson State football. Everybody's eyes has been on the defending SWAC champions from the spring. So the Alabama A&M JSU game is clearly the game of the week and really is going to propel what happens in October or who's going to claim that SWAC East title.
Yeah, whoever gets to win today gets a huge foot forward in the tough SWAC East. The SWAC East is taking on a different look with FAMU and Cookman coming in. But you're talking about two teams that are really motivated to get this win today. And when we kind of take a look at this game, I got to do something else. Jackson State offensively hasn't been able to run the ball all that way, but they've still been able to win football games and really haven't played that complete game just yet.
Yeah, been able to win games is like I said against Delta State reminds me of a prom date. It was ugly, but we had fun. You want to get out there with a win, and we've been winning, but we haven't been winning according to Coach Prime's standard, Coach Prime's blueprint, his expectation. So winning is not enough. He wants a dominant performance in all three phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams. And we have yet this season to click on all of those. Almost got there in Memphis against Tennessee State, and you saw how dominant of a performance that was. But even in that game, left some meat on the bone offensively, left some meat on the bone, even with special teams and even with defense, because the defense, we gave up, what I call a fluke score, not staying focused and dialed in. So going to be interesting to see, because I know Coach Prime and the defensive staff have harped on that this is a strong defense, a highly ranked defense, number one in the SWAC and in the top 10 in the nation. But we can't have moments where we give up big plays and take a possession off because we got a big lead. You want to pitch that shutout. If they score, you want to hold them to one score, maybe a field goal. So this defense is coming off a bye week. We're going to see how they perform on this road game for this SWAC East. I'm putting my money on them, Chuck. They haven't let me down yet, but you got a horse that's winning. Keep betting on it.
Yeah, you better believe it. I mean, when you talk about defense, you said defense travels. And this is going to be huge with just Jackson State defense today. They're going up against number one ranked offense in SWAC. They're averaging 36.3 points per game. It all starts with the trigger man, a Quill Glass, 14 touchdowns thus far in the season, 6 interceptions, but Neely, 4 of those interceptions came last week against Grambling. He was also sacked 4 times against Grambling.
And I think that's the key, Chuck, that these were not interceptions because he's not an NFL caliber quarterback, that he doesn't have NFL potential, that he's not a SWAC leading quarterback just behind our QB1 and statistics completion wise. Those interceptions were because of duress. Those 4 interceptions are just as much on that defensive line and linebackers as the 6 sacks were. And we have a defense that can get to the quarterback. So I'm expecting him to be under duress today. I'm expecting him to be forced into some bad throws. I'm expecting him to get sacked. We got James Houston, big game James, as I call him, who is leading the nation, not Mississippi, not the SWAC, not HBCUs, leading the nation in sacks. I don't expect James not to get one today. Again, you got a horse, you bet on it. And so it's going to be dialed up, ears pinned back, full out. Let's go get him. Let's make him move. Let's make him uncomfortable. If you listened last night to Aubrey Miller when he was on the show, and then we reposted that segment today on YouTube with Aubrey Miller, and he talked about that. He talked about how the focus has been, we got to get to the quarterback today. We got to make Glass uncomfortable. We got to get him on the ground and get him out of the pocket. We're going to see today if that takes place.
And really, for all the talk about Alabama A&M's passing game, it's the running game that I think has gone under the radar. Garrett Qualls, he leads the SWAC in rushing 113 yards per game. He's had huge games. First 3 games of the season, rushed for over 100 yards each of the first 3 games. Grambling held him to 52 yards last week, but he's almost as strong that kind of stirs the drink for this Alabama A&M offense. You get to looking for the pass, and all of a sudden he comes squirting through and rips you for some big runs.
I'm just smirking on squirting. I'm still 13 in my mind. So sometimes you give me low hanging fruit like long snapper last night and then squirting this morning. I had to remember we're live and, you can't just barbershop talking here. So you're right, Chuck. He will squirt through there. he'll get those yards. But our defensive line is severely upgraded, tremendously upgraded from this spring. And keep in mind, this spring was a high-scoring game. And we had a shaky offense this spring, and it was a high-scoring game. Alabama's A&M's defense is not known for, shutting people out. We have an upgraded offense this fall. We have a tremendously upgraded defense this fall. I don't see Alabama A&M or anybody scoring 40-plus points on this defense. And our offense is capable of scoring 30-plus. So we're going to see what wins, the number one defense in the SWAC or the number one offense in the SWAC. But like we talked about, Coach Marcus was on. You talked about with Coach O yesterday, who has O-line coaching experience. It's going to start with the trenches. Who's going to control that line of scrimmage? Yeah. Their offensive line or our defensive line, our offensive line or their defensive line. See, Aubrey Miller talked him up walking behind you there.
I see Aubrey Miller back there. What you say, big up? Yes, it did.
And just to let people know what's happening behind you, because there's been some activity, that's the equipment staff who's been getting all the helmets and pads ready. If you look over my shoulder, the sun is back there, but the equipment truck is out. So going to be getting that load up to take the players' personal effects over to the stadium. Team heads that way about 2.5 hours before kickoff, because we'd like to be at the stadium 2 hours before kickoff to go through those mechanics. So, hey, man, it's counting down. It's getting closer. Again, that's the equipment staff behind Chuck back there getting ready, getting loaded up. It's going to be a great day, man. It's going to be a great day.
When we can continue to take a look at this game, and you mentioned Jackson State's defense giving up only 246 yards per game. Neely, 16 sacks through the first 4 games of the season. This defense has really reminded a lot of some of the great defenses of the past. You start thinking about Jackson State great defenses, 1996, that Sean Woodson group comes to mind with Charles Crawford at linebacker, those guys. Big Chad Ford, who's been on our show. Those defenses.
Man, you talk JSU defense for the first time this year, and I'm in this season, kind of spring. You didn't mention Cammie Collins. I think you just love saying Cammie Collins.
You know I'm going to get to the 87 defense. You know, when we talk about Dennis Conner, Darian Conner, Andre Lloyd, and Cammie Collins, those are my linebackers, man, always. You talk about
Well, Chuck, 4 games, 16 sacks. I ain't learned a lot, because they had CBOC and JPS where you got to take that retest. But if I know one thing, 16 divided by 4 is 4. So we should get 4 sacks a day if that's our average. I did learn that much from CBOC. And
you know what? Aquil Glass was sacked 4 times last week against Grambling. So you know what? Let's stay on the average today. How about that?
Yeah, let's stay. Well, it's 4. It's 16 and a half sacks, so it's slightly north of 4. So let's get us 4.1 today. And matter of fact, Chuck, let's go ahead and get 5. Let's put them on the ground 5 times. Let's force them into at least 2 interceptions, and one of those we're going to take to the house. Write it down.
And that's a great point that you make, because interestingly enough, as Jackson State has been playing tremendous defense, getting turnovers has not exactly been the forte thus far this season.
Has not.
No interceptions thus far on the season. They've only they've forced 5 fumbles. They've recovered 3 of them. So hopefully getting some turnovers today would be a huge thing for this defense in terms of taking on.
That's needed. Needs some takeaways, but I don't want to focus on that stat so much that we don't accentuate that a lot of those hits in the secondaries have dislodged the ball. A lot of those bang plays have kept a reception from happening in the first place. So did we get to INT? No, but sometimes, Chuck, on a 4th down, for instance, somebody going forward, you don't want the INT. You want the ball where it is at the line of scrimmage. So some of these stats can kind of be misleading. What you want to really look for that defensive performance is, man, how much did the other team score?
Yeah, that's true. It always
how much they score?
How much did they actually score? Exactly. That's great.
And the same thing with offensive measurement. When you look at, and Coach Prime has talked about this, when you look at our QB stats, when you look at his numbers for a game, we shouldn't be leaving that game with 10 points, 7 points, because we were moving the ball and he wasn't turning the ball over. We've got to get that yardage to translate into points scored, just like our defense is making that lack of yardage on their end equate to a lack of scoring points. ULM, we held them to 4 field goals, and one of them was a giveaway field goal on the penalty. They got to re-kick. So that's the kind of things I'm looking for. Is this high-performing offense that Alabama A&M is known for? Are they going to translate it to points?
That's a great point. You talk about moving the ball, translating into points. Shedeur Sanders, offensively, he's number 2 in SWAC and passing. He's averaging 273 yards per game. 7 touchdowns on the season, only 1 interception. But like you said, it's all about getting that ball in the end.
It is, and I'm a homer, Chuck. I like to cherry pick my stats. I always pick QB1's percentage completion because that's the one he's number 1 in. 72% completion rate. You just think about that, man. 7 again, C-box, 7 out of 10 passes, somebody is catching it. We just got to get them to catch it in the end zone or catch it and get some yards after the catch. But the baseline is there. See, that equipment staff is starting to move out, man. They're coming behind me now. So, they're going through the mechanics. They coming by now with the getting ready to load up.
Equipment out here in the hall over here. So,
and speaking of the background here, hats off to Coach Prime. Talked to him last night about this. Got to give him credit, man. It was this offseason where he came to us and said, "Hey, Roy, we picked you up on that." having Coach Prime coming to us and saying, hey, man, you guys, when you get to Miami, do a live show from the team hotel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, we've always done live shows on game day, but as you guys know who follow us, we're at the stadium during the home games. But it was Coach Prime said, no, man, come to the team hotel, interview the players, interview the coaches, interview my special guests. You guys are embedded with the program. So you get to see all of these things that are normally not shown, even in Power 5 athletic programs. One of the things he drew up was like, we're going to put this thing together, man, where ESPN has to come to you guys to get information because you guys only want to be inside, and that's what happens. A lot of the stuff that you hear them talking about on the ESPN broadcast, they've picked our brain on doing pre-production meetings and that kind of thing. So, Chuck, everybody enjoy what we've got here, what's going on, because it is something you do not see in other programs.
Something you don't see in other programs. I tell you what, Neely, and like I said, we continuously say we're appreciative for Jackson for the platform. We're appreciative to our sponsors who help us put this on. Our title sponsors day, Hiawatha Northington PLLC. You take a look at Chambers and Gaylord. They are legal guys and they do a tremendous job in terms of helping us bring this to our Jackson State fans. The project architect, Amber Slaughter, and of course, Bravo Restaurant, Sal and Mookie's, Broad Street Bakery. Of course, I'm going to start my breakfast off next week for homecoming at Broad Street Bakery. So definitely got to shout out all of our sponsors.
Man, I'm going through the trifecta, the triumvirate, if you will, next week because we got 2 home games back to back, homecoming, and then Bethune-Cookman comes to town. Chuck, that means we get to eat Bravo, we get to eat Sal and Mookie's. We get to eat Broad Street Bakery without having been on the road. We're going to be home, being able to enjoy, you know, the fine dining, if you will, the scrumptiousness of Mangia Benet. I had to say it for you because I know you get that brick of rack. You get that brick of rack mode.
Mangia Benet. Yes,
Oz good, Wilcox.
Oz good, Wilcox. Well, I tell you what, we'll take a quick break here on the pregame show. It is Bishop and Neely here on the Black College Sports Network.
Okay, so how long have you been coming to Stanford?
Since 1987. I've forever loved Stansburg because the people, they're real people. They help the community and their family own and operate. And the food, the quality, and service has always been phenomenal. And anywhere I'm at, I always recommend people to them. It's great food and you get enough love for your money. If you need a good place to eat and you want a good environment to support the community and support the effort of the Jackson community, I recommend Super Burger to you because, like I said,
It's Pink Friday 2021, and here's a message from one of our survivors.
Hello, I'm Robin Roberts, and I am happy to join the American Cancer Society in the fight against breast cancer. As a breast cancer survivor and proud Mississippi native, I'm honored to support Pink Friday, a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness. We all have a part to play in this fight, and by working together, one day we are determined to find a cure for breast cancer. Get your tickets now to support this wonderful event.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back here to the pregame show here on the Black
Punter.
Black College Sports Network. I tell you what, Neely, tremendous lively atmosphere. It was a return of yesteryear of a lot of fans crowding around the hotel as the buses came in. But you talk about just the sort of impact that Coach Prime has had on this Jackson State fan base. There's a renewed sense of laughter, enjoyment, just really getting back into Jackson State football.
Yeah, man, it reminds you of the 80s. You know, that energy in the 80s where we traveled to other cities and did those takeovers of their hotels and their towns and of their stadiums. People are excited. You know, nothing brings excitement like winning. And we are winning. You know, we are winning and we're looking good as we win. Team is traveling well. You know, no off the field issues or any drama like that. It really is transformative. And I think any organization takes on the characteristics of its leader. And you can start with AD Ashley Robinson. And so what you're seeing in football, you know, is happening in other sports because of the athletic department leadership with AD Robinson. But then what you see happening in football is happening because of Coach Prime and the dynamic that he brings to the table. You know, never one to settle, doesn't celebrate mediocrity, will celebrate a win, but quickly goes to the drawing board and says, what could we be doing better? And I know that's something that rubs some of our fan base wrong at times when people ask, hey, what do you think about the game? Crowd could have been better. Oh, man, they're like, coach, but we were packed. And people are just not understanding the NFL Hall of Famer broadcast, you know, savvy businessman that he is, that it's always like, no, that's good, but we left too much out there. We can do better. There are empty seats. There are plays that didn't get accomplished. He always is harping on. It does. And he's not, you know, a perfectionist to the point of being anal or standoffish about it, but he's just one of those types that, man, if we can do more, I want the more. You know, I want the more. I want the more. I want the more. But in that's why he also spends so much time with our players with just more than football. The conversations, man, that we have been witness to in his office or in team meetings where he is talking to these young men about way more than football, about business, about family, about being a man, about being a good citizen. Sometimes an hour goes by and we're not even talking about sports. We're talking about life. He's one of those needle-moving individuals.
Yes, indeed. And we were able to get a segment taking a look at some of his talk with the football team.
Yeah, you know, last week we attend team meetings, and he actually checked me in front of the team. I walked in 45 seconds late. It was like a lean on me moment. You know, he was up in front of the team, and he stopped the entire meeting and said, hey, brother, if you go do this now, you got to be on time. I'm like, dude, I was just with you outside. Like, you saw me coming in.
Joe Clark got you.
Joe Clark got me. But on a serious note, man, that particular morning, he gave a testimony about him waking up that day and being outside, waiting on his pickup because of, you know, foot issues and driving. And he said he heard the roosters crow, and it reminded him of so much to be thankful for, that he was able to get up that morning and, like you say in the country, beat the roosters up. So he gave a testimony. And then he challenged some players in the room, not individuals, just called on anybody else to want to get a testimony. The pregame show, we were there, caught some of that. Let's roll some of that. Let's go to it. That awkward moment before the roll.
I know exactly, right?
Maybe we lost Roy.
What are we running again?
The Preacher Prime segment.
Place that you called me to be in a wonderful situation with you wonderful young men. And this is what I ask for. Lord, I thank you. Because I'd rather be in no better place than this. And when you heard and you signaled on rooster crow time after time after time after time, it's like I won. Lord, I beat them up. And I'm ready for the day. It's going to be a great day. Why? Because I'm going to make it that way. Why? Because you ordained it to be there. Why? Because you gave me this wonderful day full of grace. Because I don't deserve it. Because I ain't no good. Compared to who you are, Jesus, I ain't no good, I ain't nothing, I ain't even worthy of this day, but you chose me out of everyone to put in such a place as this right before you in this time. So Lord, I thank you. Lord, I thank you. Because I could have stayed right. I'm sorry, I could have took the left instead of staying right. I could have been an eye. I could have been shot in this situation right here. I could have been dead in this situation right here, but I chose better, Lord, so I thank you. I thank you for guiding me and keeping me on the right path when I wanted to do wrong, when evil was present. Lord, I thank you. That's it. That's a testimony. Who else? Yes, sir?
The day prior to I got my call from Coach Pollock, I was talking to my dad, and I was about to go apply for a car salesman job. And I got a call from Coach Pollock to come here. And I prayed the night before that if it was my time to hang up the cleats, then God, please make it this time. But let me know that the following day. And that following day, I got a call from Coach Pollock to come here.
That's unbelievable, man. And you're not just a player. You're a blessing, man. You're a wonderful young man. You're a good kid. You got what it takes. We know darn well, we pray to God that nothing happens to 2 or 12, but we know if something happens, you the man. And I love you. You know how I feel about you. So I appreciate that testimony. That's real.
I tell you what, Neely, that's very powerful stuff there when you take a look at Coach Prime talking to the team and just having that access to be able to peek behind the curtain and get those sorts of things. Life moments.
Yeah, life moments, man. And to hear, backup quarterback, talk about how he was literally, saying, okay, this is it for football. I had a successful undergraduate career, got some eligibility left, and was going to go start selling cars. And the phone rang. It was Coach Michael Pollock, literally the day that he had prayed about, and he gave that testimony in front of the team. Some other players gave testimonies about their growth and development during this program. And again, this conversation did not have a lot to do with football or anything to do with football. It was about life. It was about growth and development and how these young men have blossomed and started to blossom even more under the leadership of Coach Prime and his staff. And I want to emphasize the staff. Because, Chuck, sometimes when you have a dynamic personality like a Deion Sanders, like a Primetime, like a Coach Prime, people forget about the resume of Dennis Thurman. They forget about the resume of Jeff Weeks, the resume of Alan Ricard. Like, we have some coaches on this staff who have been there, done that at all levels of play. And when you're in those individual meeting rooms, those unit rooms, you see that coaching tree in them. When you're around Jeff Weeks, you're listening to Rex Ryan. And I know that Coach Prime gets a lot of attention because of who he is, and that's rightly so. But this staff that he has put together and the impact that they're able to have, we shared with the audience last night, having been in some QB rooms, some QB sessions with Coach T.C. Taylor and Shedeur Sanders. Just unbelievable, the relationship dynamic. Big Dion, you all right? Hey, we got to get you live today now. Just the relationship capital that's taking place with these young people, man, is just phenomenal to witness, and the access that they give us to then share that with the fan base. I hope people note that what we're building here, winning is everything, and it all starts with winning, but there's another layer to it about winning in life, and we're focused on that too.
Focus on that too, man. I tell you what, we're a little bit over 3 hours here toward kickoff, but I'm just kind of watching the guys mill about.
Yeah, it's going to pick up. Traffic is going to, as Jim Ross would say, business is about to pick up, because where you are at 11 a.m., which is about 20 minutes from now, the units are going to start heading toward you, because those ballrooms behind you, Chuck, are what we use for walkthroughs before we start loading the buses. So traffic is going to pick up behind you, behind me, as they come from the rooms headed your way. Coach Prime and some other coaches are making their way back there too for these walkthroughs to get those mental reps in before we get over to the stadium.
Yes, indeed. And, one of the things, we spent a little bit of time with some of the coaches last night. There is, I don't want to say an arrogance, but there is a quiet confidence, a swagger almost, in terms of the preparation that's been done to get prepared, to get ready for this game, to take on this Alabama A&M offense. Like I said, last walkthroughs, things of that nature, but this team is ready.
Man, you hear from the players as well. Every player we talk to, whether it was an individual interview on the air or as we sit around making our show production notes with them, every player unscripted said in their own words how this week was one of the best weeks they've had preparation-wise for a particular team. That coming off of that bye week, getting some people healed up, getting a little rest in, and then focusing this week on some installs. And Shedeur Sanders, man, gave a hell of a compliment to the scout team. That's Coach Flea right there. We still got to get him on today. Everybody, it's not a arrogance or looking past this. It's, man, we're prepared. We're ready. We came here to do this, and by God, we're going to do it.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, before those position groups start coming out, if Coach Flea is not right in front of us, we'll take a quick break, and then you and I will do our sort of 3 things that we need to see from Jackson State today to get this win. We'll come right back after these messages here on the pregame show on Black College Sports Network.
Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify.
Go ahead, Clay. And welcome back here into the pregame show. We have with us Coach Gary Harrell. They call him Coach Flea. Welcome in to the pregame show, Coach.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hey, you are the running backs coach. Talk to us a little bit about this running game and what you expect to see from your unit today.
Well, I expect to see some toughness. You know, it starts up front, starts with the receiver core as well. And I think we did a good job as far as put some things together, things we can do, our strength when it comes to O-line, when it comes to our running back, the type of backs that we do have. You know, we do it by committee, man. Zone scheme, gap scheme. You know, what I'm looking for is just toughness, man, and finish as far as just steps, aiming points, you know, just line up correctly and just, you know, finishing your runs, you know, as far as also just in the protection, being physical, making sure we protect the quarterback from any blitz or anyone that's trying to come for the sack. And that's our job today. Just play our role and be where we're supposed to be and just finish and play with toughness.
You know, that's been a theme when we talked with Coach Marcus earlier in the segment. He talked about physicality, talked about toughness. That's been a theme that you guys have preached over the course of these past couple of weeks.
Yes, that's what the game is won. You know, that's your identity. You got to show that you're able to establish the run. You got to show that you're able to protect the quarterback. You know, everything else is the passing game is glamorous, the screen game. But once you establish the run, and we're on the road, and then everybody know when you come on the road, you got to pack your run game, you got to pack a defense. So we got to establish the run so we can control the clock, set the tempo, and just let grown get into a groove. Running the football does wonders for an offense. It allows you to really build confidence. It brings toughness. It shows your identity. It shows who you really are. And that's what we came up short for the past 4 weeks, and we're trying to make sure we get that going into SWAC play.
Yes, indeed. It's important to get that running game up and going. And, you know, for all of us Jackson State fans who know that the DNA of Jackson State football is a strong running game, physicality. That is music to a lot of the Jackson State fan base here.
Absolutely, man. Get back to our roots, man. You know, that's what Jackson State was built on, the toughness. You know, start with Walter Payton before Walter Payton days. And we want to just continue that legacy and understand what we're trying to get accomplished. It had success back in the day as far as winning those championship through the run game, you know, but we want to make sure that we do our part today to help this offense, help this team.
Yes, indeed, Coach. Hey, I know you got to get to it. We're going to let you get to walkthroughs. We appreciate you stopping by the pregame show.
Hey, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. That is Coach Gary Harrell. He is the running backs coach for our Jackson State football team. They call him Coach Flea, former head coach at Howard University. He does a tremendous job with our running backs. Physicality, toughness. That is the theme for our Jackson State running backs, the theme for our Jackson State offensive line. Hey, we've heard Jeff Weeks say, putting that face in the fan, man. It is all about that's how you win football games.
Chuck, that's all nice. That's all dandy. That's all fine and good. Where else but the pregame show can you get this kind of information straight from the Tigers' mouth, man?
Yes, indeed.
You've
Straight
heard from the
Tiger's
special
mouth.
teams coach. You've heard straight from the special teams coach today. Heard from the offensive line coach today. Heard from the running backs coach today. Last night we had on the linebackers coach. Had on Coach T.C. Taylor, Coach O, Coach Hart. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The sit-down segments that we do and are able to bring you just literally straight from the Tigers' mouth, the access that Coach Prime has allowed the pregame show, the trust he's given us, the integrity that it's all built on, that we understand everything we see is not to be shown, but we take that and make sure that the right parts get to our fan base, because this is all about the student athletes, building them up, promoting this program. And when you hear from guys like Coach Flea and you hear from Coach Ricard and Coach Markison, other coaches you've heard from the past 24 hours and the history of this program, you can just see the direction of this program and what they're instilling in these young men. Because keep in mind the players that you hear from and how their microphone, their mic ability, if you will, to be able to sit here and articulate. Keith Corbin last night, Auburn Miller, Keontae Hampton, the times they joined the show, you know, you're looking at a seasoned NFL guy as it relates to their microphone presence, their mouth game, if you will.
Yeah,
and it's all because of the work, the quality that Coach Prime has put in with this program. I'm just elated, man, to be a part of this pregame show and to help this vision come true. And Chuck, we're getting there, man. It's getting close to 11 for the final walkthroughs.
Yes,
then we
it is.
depart a little after that to get to the stadium 2 hours before kickoff. And it's going to be on. Jackson State University, #1 in the SWAC, taking on Alabama A&M for their homecoming, the defending SWAC champions. Even if y'all want to put an asterisk by it, they're still defending SWAC champs.
They are defending SWAC champs, defending Black College national champs from the spring. You know, Neely, when we take a look at this.
Now, that's the one
game,
I put the asterisk by. I hate to cut
that's
you off.
the
That's the one. Yeah, that's what. I ain't going that damn far now.
When we take a look at this game, like you mentioned, the time for talk is almost all over. But what are 3 things that you need to see from Jackson State today to get this W?
3 things in no particular order, or maybe they are in particular order. Offensive line play. As it relates, they see that's the problem of being live right there. You know, you get all kinds. Where's my security, Chuck?
Hey, I see Coach.
Yeah, Jeff Weeks got it.
Jeff Weeks got it.
Yeah, Jeff Weeks. Just yeah. Coach Weeks, you get on there.
Coach Weeks.
No, there won't be none. He'll figure that
out. You can always count on Coach Weeks. But yeah, Chuck, I'm gonna say offensive line play. As far as protecting the quarterback and establishing the run. But O-line play in general. I'm going to say defense to score off of a turnover would be something that would put a nice feather in the cap. And I would say the offensive yardage that we have been getting, particularly through the air, for that to lead to a score. If 2 of those 3 things happen, we're not only going to win big.
You know, for me, I think I take a look at a big thing for me is to stop the run. As mentioned earlier, Gary Qualls, he has rushed for over 100 yards for Alabama A&M in 3 of their first 4 games. Against Grambling last week, they were able to hold him with 52 yards. As I see you're starting to get some of the guys come in, but you take a look at Jackson State has been able to tap down the opposing offensive run game. It makes it very one-dimensional, and it helps us out tremendously in terms of letting guys like this guy, Coach Jeff Weeks, and his defensive line fly off.
I had to run a couple off down there.
Hey, I appreciate it.
We ain't got no Alabama A&M people in there trying to invade our party.
all day.
I believe it.
Yes, indeed. Coach Jeff Weeks, his unit, they really fly off the corner. You talk about James Houston. He is #1 sack master in the nation, 6.5 sacks. Niles Gaddy on the other side. Junior Miller pushing the line of scrimmage from the middle. And those linebackers, they're able to flow and make plays. Aubrey Miller, he's averaging close to 12 tackles per game. So I think stopping the run game makes Alabama A&M one-dimensional. We saw that last week. 62 pass attempts. It led to turnovers. Grambling Tigers were able to get the win. I think you kind of followed the same blueprint today. And you mentioned the offensive line. They've got to do so much to get that running game up and going today. Like we mentioned, it is the blood guts of Jackson State football. It is the DNA of Jackson State football. Whether you're a Jackson State fan from the 1970s and you're talking about the Payton brothers, Eddie and Walter, Ricky Patton, Ricky Young, whether you're in the 80s, Larry Caron, Carl Blue, of course, Lewis Tillman. You're talking about that running game. You get to the 90s, you're talking Big Country Johnson, Moham, Carlos Knight, Destry Wright. It is the blood and guts of what Jackson State football is. Got to get that running game up and going today, Neely. So those are my keys for Jackson State to get the dub today.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with those, Chuck, and then some. We're back here now with the players. If they're getting some hydration there and getting ready to go into some team meetings and discussions, grabbing a quick little snack. Coach T.C. Taylor, Coach Flea there. Coach Prime is wrapping up some meetings outside. Oh, man, a little lasagna. You might have to give me a little lasagna, though.
Oh, little lasagna. Hey, okay.
There's Coach Prime there. Can't show you what he's doing because it's going to be unveiled later.
There you go. Movement about here as we get ready to, the guys get ready to get to walkthroughs and whatnot. Game faces are on. Hey, Neely, man, the time for talk is almost done, buddy.
Time for talk is almost done. Got QB Lyles here. You know, we just did that segment on him. He's getting that little, I ain't had the camera flip.
I see QB Lyles over there with his testimony. That was very important. Yeah.
It was, man. It was. It was a great testimony. Great testimony. I think he would have been good at selling cars, though.
Yeah.
I knew I'd get a smile out of him. We played the testimony segment. Yeah. It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. So yeah, Chuck, we're getting this meal in. 10:51. Got some walkthroughs around 11. Then getting ready to head to the stadium for this Alabama A&M homecoming as we spoil their homecoming. It's going to be a great day, man, as always. Yeah, they are. You got to get them plates. Got to get them. got to get them plates.
Yes, indeed.
Got to get them plates. So, Chuck, it's exciting day, great day to be a Tiger. I wish I could, again, we're going to protect stuff. But if you could see what Coach Prime is doing, y'all would love it. Y'all would absolutely love it. He's coming in now.
You talk about somebody who stays on the grind, whether on 2 feet or a scooter, man. I tell you, he gets around.
Yeah, I was actually getting the door for him. It got stuck over here. So just keep talking, Chuck. I'm holding the door for Coach.
No problem. 2 o'clock kickoff, Jackson State and Alabama A&M. Number 1 defense going up against number 1 offense. But hey, we're going to put some points up today. Quiet confidence among the Jackson State staff in terms of preparation. Guys have talked about focus. That's been the thing. Lock in. And we are here with one of the biggest games today on the SWAC calendar with Jackson State taking on Alabama A&M for Alabama A&M's homecoming. We are a homecoming opponent, Neil.
That we are a homecoming opponent. Going to spoil that homecoming. Going to set off this October and make sure, move so I can not disturb the meetings, Chuck. That's part of being live. Got to be able to adjust on the fly. So yeah, it is Alabama A&M. This is the one we've talked about since they won the SWAC championship. They not only came to Jackson last year, beat us in a hard-fought game, they won the SWAC championship on our field. So today has got a lot of mechanics to it. To be the man, you got to beat the man. So we're going there to win this game. It's the first SWAC East game in the month of October, where we have back-to-back SWAC East games. Got to start off the right way with this one. Got to set the tone. Got to hit them in the mouth. Going to be a great day out there, Chuck. 2 p.m. kickoff. We're here with the team, still embedded in the hotel. Great day to be a Tiger.
Great day to be a Tiger. I tell you what, Neely, there is nothing else left to be said. We have really wringed out everything out of the washcloth in terms of getting our information out to our Jackson State fan base. And as always, in closing, we always, in the words of the immortal, Coach Edward Lipscomb, Coach Lip, we got a team by golly, we're going to fight by golly, and we're going to win by golly. Until next time, it's Neely, it's Bishop, it's the pregame show here on the Black College Sports Network.